Welcome back to another episode of the Movie Dungeon. I'm your host, Dwayne, the flyest nerd you know, and today we're talking about X-Men '97. So let's go and get into this. Starting off, so we got Rogue having a little dream about her beloved Gambit. And in this dream, they're dancing, it's all romantic. Then he turns into his horseman form and then destroys her. She wakes up panicking, sweating. Good little foreshadowing right then and there. So what we about to get for the episode, I kind of wish they would have saved his horseman form from when we actually see him. I kind of I know we see him, like his face in like the post-credit scene above the other episode, but really I wish they would have saved his whole get down, especially more of his hair that they showed. I wish they would have saved that for when we got his actual reveal. But nonetheless, she ends up waking up, panicking and shit. The team is having like a little game of pokers, man. They just chilling, they playing cards or whatever, and alarm goes off. And one thing before I keep going, I do like that, I see Cyclops and Jean have joined back with the team. They're some part of the team. And I'm just loving the fits all together. I figured we would get more costume change, but they really have settled on this one the later half of this season, and I'm okay with it. Honestly, it's freaking fire. I need to get me a jacket like that. But yeah, just to see all of them playing, the alarm goes off. Jet's trying to come in, and they're trying to get a communication with it. Ain't nobody saying shit on the other side. And Charles like, hey, yo, it's your last opportunity, bro. You know what I mean? You better answer. And when they finally do pick up, it was like a video call, and not Gambit. Ooh, I'm getting a little excited. This episode gets crazy. Cable's face pops up on the screen, and then Jubilee's pop up. So they allow them to land. So pretty much X-Force is at the X-Corp base, and they go over a plan pretty much. Oh, and then Jubilee hands Rogue that iconic card. From that point on, they talked about how they're going to go after Gambit, how to find Gambit, right? So, Beast pretty much says they got a new damn Cerebro called Cerebra. I said, oh, bro. I said, what? I honestly, if any term or any word like that shit is so bad. That shit is so bad. I couldn't believe any of that. I couldn't believe any of that. I said Cerebra. I said, but it's comic books. So like, how mad can I really be? But I was like, I don't remember hearing that name. And y'all let me know if you ever heard Cerebra. But yeah, so after that, they use the machine, and Charles does see Gambit. Problem is, Gambit also sees Charles, right? So showcasing how strong freaking Gambit is, he chokes him out inside his mind and pushes Charles out. Charles lets the group know, like, hey man, like Gambit is off the ranges, like, and he did get to see where Gambit was and where he was going, or where he was going at that time. And old boy is going back home, right? He's going right back home. We do pick up with Gambit there. See his full fit, badass, is like that grayish black and white, fire. And with that being said, he infects his little old crew, his ex-girlfriend, his brother, all that. He affects them and turns them into like his version of Horseman. Now, I thought that was pretty badass, right? But it kind of played into something I was thinking the whole episode, right? And I'll probably get into that a little later. And I was like, okay, this is badass. It's badass. Yeah. So, but once then, the team is going to go to Gambit's home. They're all on the X-Force jet, and they're having a little chit chat. Cyclops and Jean's talking to Cable. They kind of want to be a family now, and Cable's mind is really fixated on handling this problem. Like, I'm destined to stop Apocalypse. This Gambit is affected by Apocalypse, or something happened with him from Apocalypse. I need to handle this. So But during that time, they end up getting attacked, right, by Gambit's people. So they're messing up. They make easy work of that jet. They get inside that mug, right? Once in there, teams fighting. Cyclops sends Rogue to go and find Gambit. The whole plan is for Rogue to pretty much help Gambit like she helped Angel get out of the mind control set, right? So she finds him, you know, she goes to, they're talking a little bit, you know, he's still confessing his love to her. He still loves her from beyond the grave. So I feel like that's the premise of this episode. Like, love transcends all, right? So they're having their little talk, and she takes her opportunity and she touches him barehanded. Nothing. Right? And he smiles. He's like, what's going on? Like, and her head is like, damn, now I can finally touch you. You know, this was our problem back in our whole relationship. And he's like, you can finally touch me, love. You know what I mean? Like, and so, boom, bada bing. He knocks her out. He's about to take her. Nightcrawler pops up, and he knocks Nightcrawler's ass out too, and takes him too. And all the horsemen and all of them dip. Once then, when Rogue wakes up, she finds that Nightcrawler has been changed into one of the horsemen, right? One of Gambit's horsemen. And nobody's hurting her, nobody's pressuring her. She goes down, or she gets dressed, she goes down. And that nigga has a whole goddamn wine and dine set up for her, right? Looking dead as fuck, all but wine and dine, right? But he's talking in a way that I feel like is like cold, like something else. And I'll get into that maybe a little later. But yeah, he pretty much tells her the plan. Like, hey, like, Apocalypse had his love one time portray him. He gave her some powers, and she used it and dipped and whatever, and used it in her way to control whatever she wanted to control. I'm finna snatch that power back, right, and give it to you, right? So when all that happens, yeah. So honestly, let me talk a little more about that. I know there's a comic book run where like Gambit is like one of the horsemen and dead, and like he does like have his interaction with Rogue, but I really wanted them to tussle instead of like this. I'm okay with this route, this lovey-dovey route, but I definitely wanted them to tussle. You know, maybe that's just me that wanted. I just like Rogue. I feel like Rogue has OP power, and like this version of Gambit is so hardcore. I don't know why we're not. I mean, we see it later, but that's just a nitpick. But yeah, I forget where I was at. So yeah, the X-Force team finally arrives, right? Now, they hop out and they do this whole little layout and everything. Oh, let me fast forward it a little bit. So Gambit actually does take her through, and boom, bada bing, he sees the woman, he resurrects this woman. Well, I should say wake up, because she says that who disturbed my slumber, right? So during this, she's talking, yapping, she's charging at Gambit, and he just makes easy, quick work of her. That's why I kind of forgot about that, because it wasn't like a battle. Like, he stabbed her, and it was over. He took it. It was a wrap, right? And then the X-Men come out standing all glorious and all that. That's why I skipped it, because it was so fast and it was so quick. But so they're talking about like, Gambit, don't do it. Yada, yada. The team is fighting the horsemen of Gambit's, and pretty much Gambit just shoves that power right into Rogue. Just shoves her. That sounded bad. Shoves the power right into Rogue's chest, right? And they start getting on into it, the team, until Nightcrawler, the most badass. I didn't know he was this badass. Of course I did. He teleporting everywhere and punching everybody of the team, beating up everybody in seconds. This is to show like how powerful, how dangerous he could be if he was on the other side. You know what I mean? And oh my lord, he was whooping Storm's ass. Everybody got the hands, bro. He was not playing, and they were all knocked out. Charles got into Gambit's mind. Now here's where like it all kind of blows, right? Charles and Gambit end up having this fight in Gambit's mind, Charles is able to communicate to the real Gambit, and a hand comes out of Gambit's trying to reach for Charles. Charles grabs it and tugging, and then all of a sudden, when it pulls back, Apocalypse comes right out. Apocalypse has been inhabiting sort of like Gambit's soul / mind, and Charles and Apocalypse start talking, and Apocalypse brings up Magneto, which brings Charles to tears, and it's just like, I can't take this. When all of a sudden, boom, he took Gambit right back, but then Rogue came, snatched her man. She got her man. I ain't mad. Go ahead, girl. Snatched her man. Saves Gambit pretty much. Apocalypse made this speech about like he's a survivor, so we already know he's obviously not going to die or not going to be vanquished completely right now. So I think that whole little scene was actually pretty badass, to be honest. I was actually worried. We just see some of the powers of what Charles had in somebody else's mind. He gets all big, he's fighting, he's having like mind blasts and stuff like that. Like, those are actually pretty badass. We don't really see and showcase Charles's powers enough because we always got to nerf him because he is too OP. But this was a great way to show how powerful he really could be and how dangerous he could be, for real. But yeah, they end up she ends up taking them. They're on the jet. Gambit is kind of like out of it, but he's kind of like half and half free from Apocalypse mind control, not fully though. But wrapping up the episode, Cable is left there. Cable and them get into a fight. I totally skipped that whole subplot. Cable and his team end up fighting the X-Men because he wanted to kill Gambit while they were knocked out while Charles was in his mind. I thought that was like, damn, like he's really crossing that line. I don't think there was no coming back for Cable. For real. I think Homeboy is done. So then, fast forward. So he's left alone with him and Archangel and another girl. And they're in a warehouse or something. People break through the window, and it's the X-Force team. And then they're, Cable's ready to get down, and then the boss of the X-Force, X-Factor, sorry. So many of these XFs. X-Factors come in, and she's like, I got a job, type shit, like, we are on the same path. And she hands him like a playing card of Gambit, showing case that she wants to get Gambit just as much as he does. So they're pretty much making an alliance, right? So that's going to be a major conflict going forward. And I actually can't wait. I know there was rumors of the Brotherhood coming in next season, so I can't wait to see that. I think we have one more episode of this season, so we're almost done. We're almost there. But yeah, I am Dwayne, the Flyers Nerd. Thank you for watching. Peace.